Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Now I know the women are all going to say no, but hands up any men in the room who would consider swapping their car for a cake. If asked by a strange woman, only for a few hours, hands up anybody who'd do that? One game bloke, two game blokes. Gosh, that's more than I expected. Brilliant. Well, I'm going to tell you about a Dutchman who agreed to do just that. But the story doesn't start there. The story starts with a girlfriend of mine called Julia. She is English, but she lives in Holland. And her best friend in Holland, Yolanda, was coming up to the end of her 49th year. And like most people about to be 50, she had a bucket list. You know, 50 things you've got to do before you're 50, and she had 4 things left. Now these two women didn't have much money, but Julia, who's had quite a few sort of pretend husbands, had just sold some jewellery that was worth a lot more than she thought by one of her pretend husbands. So she said to Yolanda, hey, I've got enough money for us both to go to New York. Let's get on a plane and hit those last 4 goals. So they did just that. Now, as luck would have it, Julia had an aunt in America who said, oh Julia, that sounds brilliant. Look, I've got loads of loyalty points for a 5-star hotel in New York. You'll hardly have to pay anything for the 4 days. So Julia thought, brilliant. But when they got there, oh my God, the room was a disappointment. There was no view, it was stuffy, the shower didn't work. And the next morning, Julia came down to reception and waited for it to get really busy. And then very loud, in her very cut glass English accent, she made a huge fuss about the room. And you know what? They straight away gave her a suite and said she could have all the food, all the drink for the 4 days, both of them. Julia didn't say thank you. You know what she said? She said, and I want you to give my aunt all her points back, doubled. And they did! She got the lot back. So they set about doing these 4 things. Well, the first one was easy. Yolanda wanted to ride a Harley Davidson down 5th Avenue. Piece of cake. The next day, she wanted to play some amazing guitar. I don't know what it was called, but Julia had done her research and found a shop in New York that had one of these. Now, it wasn't for sale, but Julia worked her English magic. How they love the English accent, don't they? And Yolanda got this special guitar from the back, was allowed to play this guitar in the shop. And you know, people just came in off the street. She must have been pretty good. And she serenaded them all afternoon. And the shopkeeper was really happy. End of day 2. The 3rd day was a bit trickier. Yolande wanted to have, God knows why, Eggs Benedict in a cafe with a policeman. Well, Julia had done some research on cafes near police stations, so she stood a good chance of making that happen. So they went early in the morning, they sat down, they ordered their Eggs Benedict and started chatting in their English voices. Very soon, 2 blokes joined them and started chatting them up. And very quickly, you know what Julia said, and what do you 2 do for a living? Because she was going to move them on pretty quick if they didn't do the right thing. But of course, they were cops. And she told them this story. And they thought, oh, wow, this is exciting. We can do better than that. We've actually got a car outside. We'll take you around and turn the siren on and whiz all round the block. And then we'll take you into the police station. We'll even show you the cells. And they did that. So that was brilliant. So 3 things all worked out. But the 4th thing was trickier. She wanted to ride, I'm going to call it a Buick, but it's not actually a Buick. It's some vintage, enormous American truck thing. A bit like the thing out of National Lampoon's Vacation, something like that. Anyway, they couldn't find one anywhere. So they got on the plane and came home. And on the plane, Julia said to Yolande, don't worry, I feel lucky. It's just going to happen. We've got a couple of days left before you're 50. And you know, as luck would have it, the next day, Julia got in her big pink truck. She has got an enormous big pink truck. She has a catering company. And she drove into a petrol station to get it filled up. And you can guess who rolled in behind her? A bloke in one of these cars. Out stepped this rather dishy 25-year-old man, who's a good 25 years younger than Julia. She should have known better, but she couldn't hold back. She got out and said to him, wow, I've got a proposition to make you. I can make you the best cake you've ever had in your whole life if you would please lend my friend your car for a few hours. It's the last thing on her bucket list, and she's only got one more day before she's 50. And she smiled. And he looked at her, and he smiled. And the deal was done. And Yolande had the time of her life, and Julia got herself a new lover. This man, he was only 25, he's called Bastian. I can't remember what I was going to say. I know what he does. He looks after all the canals in Holland. He's a water engineer, and he got promoted because he's got this very mature woman in his life, and her business is booming. Now I'm going to show you what this is all about. I couldn't do these in A3. You can have a look at them. This is Julia. This is her friend, Yolande. And this is Bastian, the man who swapped his car, that's the car, for a cake. Oh. Now, I'm going to suggest to you that the next time some crazy but very pretty woman makes you a ridiculous proposition, maybe just say yes. See what happens.